So good evening, guys. Once again, my name is Maurya Hanspal, and in this session, we're gonna continue our previous sessions on working capital management. So this is the session number 2 on working capital management. So in this session, I'm gonna discuss about operating cycles. Operating cycles. So what exactly is the operating cycle of a company? And that is a part of the working capital management. Or working capital management. The operating cycles. So what exactly is the operating cycle? The operating cycle tells you the time taken basically from procuring the raw material to the production of the raw materials or to the production of the final good. Basically, that is all the processing activities have been taken into consideration. Then ultimate manufacturing of the final good. And ultimately, like receiving all the payments from the debtors to whom you have sold them or to whom you have to pay. So if we can define operating cycle in one line, so operating cycle is basically the time taken from the procurement of the good to the selling of the final good to the end consumer. And in between, we have all the instances. And we have to calculate the cost of everything. That is from the procuring of raw material, all the processing of the raw material, till the making of the final good, all the services that we have taken from something, we have to pay them. So those person would be our creditors to whom we have sold them our material or final good. So that person would be our debtors. So all these things we have to take into consideration while calculating the length time of the operating cycle. Okay. So one thing is quite clear that we would be working on the concept of raw materials. The second thing we will have as the work in progress. And the third thing would be the finished goods. And these are the essential or the starting most ingredients of the operating cycle. So particularly talking about the raw material, then the work in progress, and then the finished goods. So what exactly is the raw material? Your raw material is basically your inputs that you would be using to manufacture the final product. Like for example, in order to manufacture a shirt, your raw material can be cotton, it can be woolen or any other material. To make chips, your raw material can be your potato, your oil, your spices, right? So basically the raw materials are the inputs that are used to manufacture your final good. Then you have the work in progress. So once you procure the raw material, then all the work would go on, the process of like manufacturing and conversion of that raw material into the finished good. And we also call it as the conversion process. So that is your work in progress. कि अभी मान लो कि raw material पे काम चल रहा है, and that will be converted to a final good and sold in the market. And then you have the finished good. Your finished good is the ultimate final good, which is ready and which is like ready to be sold in the market. So that is your finished good. Okay. So now we have to find out the cycle time. मतलब कि रॉ मटेरियल प्रोक्योर करने में कितना टाइम लगा, वर्क इन प्रोग्रेस होने में कितना टाइम लगा, देन फिनिश गुड्स होने में कितना टाइम लगा, फिर अल्टीमेटली मान लो कि क्रेडिटर्स को पेमेंट देने में कितना टाइम लगा, फिर डेटर से पेमेंट लेने में कितना टाइम लगा. सो ऑल दीज थिंग्स वी हैव टू कैलकुलेट and we have a formula for that. Like if you want to calculate the raw material, so basically we'll have to calculate the conversion periods. The conversion periods कि कितना टाइम लगता है, कि कितना टाइम मतलब कि रॉ मटेरियल को खरीदने में, how much time it takes to manufacture it or process it, how much time it takes to sell it, how much time it takes to pay to our suppliers or creditors, or how much time it takes to receive payment. Okay. The first ingredient is your raw materials conversion period, RMCP. And the formula for this is the average raw material divided by your total raw material or the total purchase of raw material into the number of days. Ideally, we take the number of days as 365 only. In some books, they take as 360, but let's take it 365. Then you have to calculate the work in progress conversion period. It is nothing but your average work in progress divided by the total cost of production. total cost of production. The third thing is the finished goods conversion period, FGCP. Again, it is your average finished goods divided by the total cost of goods sold, COGS, total cost of goods sold. So that is one, like the three aspects of it, like when we talk about. Okay. Then we have to talk about the debtors and the creditors, the debtors conversion period, DCP. Your debtors conversion period is basically your average debtors divided by the total credit sales, because तुमने debtors को credit sales ही करी होगी ना, पर average debtors divided by total credit sales. Okay. Then you have to find out the credit conversion period, CCP. That is your average creditors. अब creditors से तो like हम purchase करते हैं, right? Divided by your total credit purchases. And when you use all these in your calculations, you get your total conversion period. So there is two things. One is the gross operating cycle and one is the net operating cycle. So what is your gross operating cycle? Your gross operating cycle is your RMCP, that is a raw material conversion period, plus work in progress का conversion period, plus finished goods का conversion period, plus debtors का conversion period. That is your gross operating cycle. And if you want to calculate the net operating cycle, subtract the creditors का conversion period. And that is the thing you have to do. Subtract the creditors का conversion period. Okay. So we will do one like numerical on this and then end the session. Yeah. So like for example, in the question, it has been mentioned to you that, yeah, we'll take all this data on the left hand side. Okay. Your sales have been mentioned as 3000. Your cost of production में short में लिख रहा हूँ, it has been mentioned at 2100. Your purchases maybe of the raw material, they have been mentioned as 600. Average raw material, it is mentioned as 80. But average raw material is nothing but your opening raw material plus the closing raw material. मान लो कि 2019 का raw material दिया है and 2020 का दिया है. So this is your opening and this is your closing. And इन दोनों का तुम average ले लोगे. And same will go on for the work in progress, for finished good, debtors and creditors. ठीक है? The process remains the same. हम inventory में जैसे करते थे. Then your average work in progress, it has been given as 85. Then your average finished goods, it has been given as 180. Then your average creditors, they have been given as 90. And your average debtors, they have been given as 350. Now it says calculate the net conversion cycle or the total operating cycle. So first we'll calculate the raw material conversion period. In that you would have the average raw material. So what is the average raw material in the question? Average raw material is 80 and your purchases were 600. You'll do it into 365. You'll get 49 days. 49 days. Then you'll do your work in progress conversion period. Average 85 hai. Okay. And what is the total cost of production? Your total cost of production is given as 2100 into 365. So that will come out to be 15 days. Then you're gonna calculate your finished goods का conversion period. Average stock कितना दिया हुआ? You have like 180 divided by 2, like 2100 से divide करोगे क्यों करेंगे? अगर कॉस्ट ऑफ सेल्स नहीं दिया हुआ तो देन डिवाइडेड बाय कॉस्ट ऑफ द प्रोडक्शन ओनली, ठीक है? अगर दिया हुआ सो दैट्स अ सेपरेट थिंग। देन डेटर्स कन्वर्जन पीरियड, एवरेज डेटर्स कितने दिए हैं? 355 एंड सेल्स कितनी थी? 3000 into 365 comes out to be 43 days. क्रेडिटर्स कन्वर्जन पीरियड, कितने क्रेडिटर्स हैं? एवरेज 90। सेल्स कितनी, सॉरी, परचेजेस कितनी हुई थी? 600 into 365, that comes out to be 55 days. Now how to calculate the conversion period? मैं ऊपर निकाल देता हूँ। 49 days plus 15 days plus 31 days plus 43 days ऐड करोगे, टोटल में से 55 days माइनस कर दोगे। एंड दिस साइकिल का नंबर शुड बी एज लो एज पॉसिबल। एक चीज का याद रखना, द साइकिल शुड बी एज लो एज पॉसिबल। जितने ये डेज कम होंगे तो उतना मतलब होगा कि द फास्टर द गुड इज लाइक रिसीविंग टू द फाइनल कंज्यूमर, ठीक है? That was about the working capital management, and we'll begin some other topic in the next session.